Good afternoon, good evening. Yep, I'm finally on. Thanks, everyone. We're about 10 minutes into the session. Yeah, I figured Racing Ticket fell asleep. It's not a good time for a lot of people in Europe for this race. So, yeah. Want to welcome everyone. This is the Racing Ticket YouTube channel, and we are here for the Japanese Grand Prix Free Practice 3 Watchalong. It is 9:40 p.m. Central Time in the United States. I'm in Central United States time. It's still Friday for me. But anyways, we've got the first 10 minutes, and basically, Ferrari, no one went out. Ferrari went out. Stroll's out. Piastri and Norris is out. No one else has taken their time to really do much at this point. Thank the 1,500 of you who are watching right now. Yeah, it for a lot of you, this is like middle of dead of the night. Want to thank you for coming. We've got about 200 likes so far. Thank you so much for those who are liking. Helps with the algorithm. Again, for those who haven't subscribed, hey, now's a good time to do it. We've got over 100,000 members in our community. Come join us and come have fun. We do, again, sessions for all the practices, for quali, and go. Making sure I've got. I'm not sure why I'm echoing at the moment, but moving forward, um, that's something for racing statistics to look at because I don't think it's something on my end. But moving forward, ultimately, again, there's over 100,000 of us right now who've subscribed to the channel. Come join us. We do, again, sessions for practice, for the quali, for the race, and on sprint weekends we will do basically the sprint race and the sprint quali as well. That'll be next weekend. Getting some time to the board. So Ferrari's come out on soft tires. They've gone back from the pits. Stroll's out on a hard tire. The McLarens have not set a time yet. So no one else has set a time at this point. So it's going to be a little bit before we get times up on the board. And it looks like Norris is going to go P1, and then Oscar was P1, but he went first, and then Norris came over across the line. They're about a tenth, a little bit at the 1.2 difference between Norris and Piastri. So they're doing a 131s. The big story right now, right now, is basically the temperature of the track. The issue is basically the track is so damn hot that the tires are just basically melting as they go out onto track, and so the degradation of the tires is just huge. So what they're looking at is that teams are pretty much going to be looking at using hards and mediums for the most part. This is why you see a lot of teams are out on softs. We're getting a lot of them. So Haas is out, AlphaTauri's out, Alfa Romeo is out, Mercedes is out, Perez has come out. So we've got only a few left in the pits. The big so tire degradation is going to be huge. They have already talked about the fact that this could be not a 2-stop but a 3-stop race, given how the tires are just falling off at the track. And as it is, we're using the hardest tires as it is. Just looking right now, there's a radio. So he's talking about a gear sync issue. Yeah, this is the other big story that you're all talking about, basically, is the fact that Red Bull did announce their driver for AlphaTauri announces their driver lineup for 2024. It will be Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, and that's obviously being announced here because this is Yuki's home track, and he's the mega star right now at the track. This leaves us with the only seat that's left, essentially, is not unconfirmed for next year, is Logan Sargent's seat, and it's hard to see Williams ditching Sargent. It's hard for them to justify ditching Sargent He is someone who's come up through essentially he's like the only one who's come up through the Williams Junior program, and that's why he's in that seat. It's hard for them to justify going and grabbing, Liam Lawson. It's hard to grab, another name is Drogovic. Another name that's on the outside looking in is Porsche. I mean, these are three good drivers who should have had a chance to drive like this year or last year, and haven't had a chance. I mean, look at Oscar Piastri. He had to wait a year after winning the F2 championship to get his seat in F1. And it took a massive shuffle last year for him to get that seat. I mean, we have again had three rookies. I mean, we had Daniel taking a break that allowed Piastri to go in. We had Vettel leaving the grid, and then we had Latifi leaving the grid, and that allowed for Sargent to get a seat, and allowed for De Vries to get a seat. Obviously, De Vries has been now replaced by Ricciardo, and now Lawson is in for Ricciardo. So we technically have had four rookies on the grid this year. Someone saying it's about Lawson to get Stroll seat. No, if Stroll is to leave, Drogovic would be the one. He's the reserve driver. He's the one that would be elevated to his seat. So one of the things, what they're doing at the moment, one of the things is Lawson he indicated some smoke to his team. So he's going a little bit slower at the moment. He may be coming back into the pits. So the issue really that with Red Bull and AlphaTauri, basically, he's indicating, okay, his brakes were on fire. So that's where the smoke was coming from. So one of the things that's with Red Bull within play is that next year, like they have obviously Max next year, and they have Checo for next year. And as it looks like those contracts are going to be honored. There's no reason to replace Checo at this point. We've got an AlphaTauri now. We have established, we've got Tsunoda and Ricciardo, and we've got Lawson now looking out on the outside, looking in. But it's Checo's contract is due next year, so 2025 is when the lineup change is most likely going to happen. When did Lewis have this? I think it was after FP1. We're in FP3 right now, so that's why. So it wouldn't be after FP3. We got Max on a flying lap, setting purple first sector. He's out there putting his mark out. So far we've got Norris P1 at the moment. We'll see where Max comes in. Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Oscar, Leclerc, and Sainz all within a second of each other. We can include Magnussen and Hulkenberg in that 1 second as well. So we're at a 131.1 going down to Hulkenberg 131.80. So just over a second between P1 to P9 right now. Max has gone, wow, okay, Max has just did one on 130.960. So he's the first one in the 130s. He was the only one in the 130s yesterday, if I remember. So purples across the board for Max. So already in the 130s. There we go. You got some Red Bull fans. It's got the orange scarf on. Yeah, I mean, like, even if you don't like Max, take it in basically, because 5, 6, 10 years from now, you'll be talking about how crazy it was to watch Max Verstappen drive. He will be talked about in the same. I mean, basically, the performance he's putting on right now, he will be talked about the way Schumacher is going to be talked about, and how Hamilton will be talked about when his career is over. Parts of Alonso's career. I mean, he has a historic career as well. So I mean, like, and Vettel, like we're already talking about Vettel in that way. So he will be talked in that rarefied air years from now when he is done with F1. Yeah, Leclerc has just gone into P3 with a 131.696. And Max did that on the soft tires. Um, I am expect I'm kind of guessing that we're going to see mostly soft tires today. Stroll being the exception here, and AlphaTauri being the other exception. But I think they're using the softs today because they can. Because in the race scenario, they're not going to be useful. It's what is going down is that when it comes to the race, the soft tires are going to fall off way too fast to be beneficial. I mean, Tom, he's going to win the championship this year. I don't know if anything's wrong with Williams per se at the moment. They haven't come out of the garage. Let me see if let me just check the live. Let me see if there's something. Are they finally heading out? Yep, yep. Okay, they're both in out laps. So the only one who is not gone out on track, I believe, has been Alonso at this point. Or nope. Alonso's P11. He just went up to P11 with a 132.205. Tsunoda starting looked like to be potentially a flying lap. Lawson just went to 132.925. Ooh, which is that the Mercedes? Ooh. So one of the things that's a part of the story this weekend is that these curbs are pretty high. They're pretty brutal to the cars, and we're seeing them lose some. Excuse me, lose some level of control over those curbs. We haven't had anyone. We've had Gasly went over the curbs and then just couldn't control the car. So that is ultimately the issue that we're dealing with right now. Is that there's a few curbs that are pretty brutal this weekend. Jose saying those curbs are murder on the floors we mess up. And again, you got to remember with the new regulations from last year and this year is that the floors are really important. That's where a lot of aerodynamics is coming into play. And they're built specifically to funnel the air in a particular way. So if you're messing up the floor by going off the curbs, it can cause big issues. So Albin thinks he's having issues with his brakes. He just said he flat spotted them right away. Map of the Soul persona says, I don't know why people are hating on Charles. The issue is Charles hasn't performing as well as Sainz has. He hasn't performed as well as he is been. So it's an expectation gap. Sargent Albin goes 0.6 behind Verstappen. J Mac at the race, can you turn up your volume? You're gonna have to turn up your volume, my friend. Yeah, he's been inconsistent. Is the other thing is that there's a performance gap between his performance and what is expected out of him. Essentially, like since the past 3 races, Sainz has been a better driver, and Leclerc's supposed to be the number one driver. That's ultimately the issue here. I mean, it doesn't help that Max is in another level by himself at the moment. So Sargent setting a good time, relatively good time. He's got some subsectors that have been fastest, but he's improved in his times overall. We'll see how he comes across the line. Albon's going to go P10. Sargent's going to go P14. There's about 0.3 difference. They did 132s. So those are, again, that's like a second and a quarter for Albon and a second and a half almost for Sargent in difference. Overall, Marvel is any TV channel broadcasting. Look for your local TV. I know in the United States, ESPN has F1. Obviously, there's Sky Sports, and then finally, there's F1 TV. So right now, I mean, like Stellar, this is a practice, so there's no necessarily essentially, it's not the race itself. Yuri is suggesting swapping out Sargent for Dragovich. I understand why you would do that. The problem is Dragovich is in the Aston Martin family, and Sargent is in the Williams family. There's no reason for Williams to swap to go grab Dragovich from Aston Martin, essentially. Yeah, no, I mean, Albon is several years' experience over Sargent. That's why he's, that's part of the reason why he's over there. Do you think Lawson might? No, Google. No, Lawson will not replace Checo in the last few races. And Checo's performing well. Checo's, like, don't get me wrong, like, you're trying to compare Checo to Max, and that's a bad comparison. Like Max is making Checo look bad. Did Checo have a bad string of qualifying performances? Yes, but in each one of those, he got into the points. Yeah, Checo's not going anywhere. I mean, Checo is there's a lot of pressure on Checo, and there's a lot of things that Red Bull is doing that's not making it easier for Checo. But ultimately, Checo was hired to be Max's wingman, and that's what he's doing. And again, why would you replace Checo, who is second in the championship? Peyote, no. Like, Sargent's here in F1. He wouldn't, and if he would go back to the United States, he wouldn't go to NASCAR. He would be in IndyCar. He wouldn't go to NASCAR. But that's a moot point of sending him back to. I mean, that as an American here myself, Sargent belongs here in F1. We got a shot of Mick Schumacher, who's out working in the garage for Mercedes. Another driver who should be, like, there should be a seat for. Again, there should be another, like, 4. Honestly, we could do with 2 more teams. You could do with a third team as well. To be quite honest, we could do with 13 teams. It would help dramatically with this backlog of drivers who basically can't get a seat because there's just not seats. Anwar Singh is asking, do you think Flexi Wings had anything to do with Red Bull's pace in Singapore? No, because if the Flexi Wings had anything to do with Red Bull's pace in Singapore, they would be it would be an issue here in Japan, and it's not. What is more likely the scenario? What happened is more that Singapore is a particular street race, and it's not even because it's city streets. It's not necessarily like even and level like you would see here with Suzuka or Silverstone or Monza. And because of that gap, it was particularly. I think the issue was that we think that Red Bull had to raise their ride height so they weren't destroying their floor because of all of those issues. And because they raised their ride height, they weren't going fast. So it's more of a setup question because it was specific to Singapore as to, yeah, Singapore is just a weird. Burble, do you think the Vegas race will be a flop for fans? No. Vegas is going to be an incredible race for fans. Like, dude, you're talking about the entertainment capital of the world. If you've got a seat at Vegas, it's going to be an awesome time. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's going to be straight up freaking awesome. Whether you're there or you're watching on at home, or the visuals for Vegas are going to be off the chains. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, Vegas is not going to disappoint. Vegas is going to like. Let me put this in perspective. If you don't like what was going on with Miami and how that had a big game feel and it was like a lot of things going overboard, you're going to hate Vegas. I'm going to tell you that right now. So here's the thing: Vegas is going to be boring because it's mostly straights, and Red Bulls are going to be mid-head. But Williams really good on straights. William, I mean, like there are other teams that have a really good on straight line speed. Alpine is good on straight line speed. So you know, I don't know why you're thinking Van Miami was absolute shit. I mean, you just may not like mermaids. I guess I don't know. Vegas, I mean, Miami had great overtaking both times it's run. So I'm not sure where you're going with this. Was it Alpine? I know there's another team that has. Um, there's another team that has a good straight line speed. No, no, Amir, we can compare Albon to Verstappen. No, that's a pair. They're both Red Bull. Came out of the Red Bull team pipeline. In fact, Albon was Max's teammate for a year. He was supposed to be the wingman until Checo was until they replaced him with Checo. He took about a year off and then came back to Williams. We've got Max on a new flying run at the moment. He's got new fastest sector 1. Let's see, we've got, looks like, got AlphaTauri bringing in a car. So he did have the fastest new sector 1 that looks like he's pulled off. He's abandoned the lap, but bringing Lawson into the garage at the moment. We've got over 300 likes. Thank you guys right now. We've got over 2,637 watching right now. Again, we've got 24 minutes left in this session. We have, again, this is the Racing Statistics YouTube channel. You are watching or listening to the Japanese Grand Prix Free Practice 3 Watchalong. again, this is Crash with you, giving you action as it goes across on track. Cole's asking, will you be hosting qualifying later? Yes, we'll be doing quali later on. I'll be doing the quality session as well. So we've got 24 minutes left in the session. People are coming. Checo's coming in the garage. I'm trying to see who else just came in. It is Yuki just came in the garage. What happened to Ryan? You may ask. It is middle of the dead of the night for Ryan. Like basically, it's 10 p.m. Friday night for me right now, and FP and quali is going to start at 1 a.m. Saturday morning for me. So it is kind of a good time for me to do, like, I'm up, awake, and alert. And Ryan right now is dead asleep, pretty much. It's just a bad time frame for him for this race. So I'm just in for him this weekend, and then he'll be back. Ferrari still doing long runs. Yes, they are. They've gone 10 and 11 laps respectively. The other three who've done have been Tsunoda, Lawson, Stroll have done long runs. So this is when you see teams doing long runs with their laps. Basically, they're doing some sort of race run or getting some sort of data for that. Right now, the only two cars on track are the Ferraris, and they're on long runs. So it's going to be a while before we see something. How's Latifi? Latifi's gone. He's gone to back to school to get a business management degree. Is that the last we'll see Latifi? Yeah, most likely in the car, but he will probably be back. If he gets the management degree, we could see him join a team like either here in F1 or IndyCar or even NASCAR. Since he's Canadian, we could see him over in the United States or Canada with a team on the business side. Albon coming out on track. Yeah, Danish. Again, I don't think he's going to return to F1 as a driver. He could return to F1 in terms of management, and that's the interesting question if he will come back in that regards. So, Sainz going over the curbs. He's using them to his advantage. He's not losing control, but he's also not gaining time either. Just did a 137 lap. So, yeah, we saw this yesterday where teams basically were running laps to get data. Oscar's out now to get data, basically. I'm not going to expect him to do any flying laps. And we may be in a scenario where we're not going to have any flying laps for the rest of this session. Oh wow, Skyler says he's at track right now. That's cool. That's cool that you are there at track and you have us up on your device. We've got Magnuson, Albon out, and Sargent now coming on track for outlaps. Joe's coming out for an outlap now. Silver House, what is your local time? Ultimately, the best suggestion, if you're looking for when sessions are going to start, go to the F1 website, just f1.com. Scroll down. There's a section there specifically that has the times for all the sessions per race. And it will jump to Japan automatically when you scroll down there. Google basically like the people have issues with backs. I mean, um, Horner addressed it that in Drive Survive. Basically, the fastest way for people to hate you is to start winning, and that's what he's doing. Albon improving his first sector. So yeah, no, he's improving. He's improved. It's 8 tenths off max though. We'll see where he goes. Coming around, and he has not improved. Take a look at where he ended up on stream. So he's a second and a tenth off after 2 sectors. Oscar, fastest first sector. So he's on a flying lap now. So there we go. We got someone on a flying lap. Albon is, I don't know why his time is red. He didn't improve, but it shouldn't be that bad. And he's going to come back with 132.285. Oscar's going to is got on track to have fastest second sector. Excuse me. We have a replay of Charles going lateral, hitting the Afro turf by the curbs as well. Yeah, he's got fastest sector 1, sector 2 right now with Oscar. He's improving right now so far in his first, somewhat in the third sector. And he's going to jump to P3, not the fastest sector 3, but the fastest. So he's the first person to break 130 besides Max. In fact, it's 130.555, 0.4 faster, 0.4 of a second faster than Max. We've got 17 minutes left in this. Yeah, 17 minutes left in this session as we're starting to see now Norris on a flying lap. Dr. Secretary is wondering if Oscar could get a pole this season. It's very possible with the McLarens. They've really improved their car. I don't think it's just Oscar. It might be Norris as well. Norris is his fastest first sector. He's improving in the second sector right now. By a whole second, actually, over Max. 3 tenths. So he's a second and a third. 3 tenths, I should say, faster than Max through 2 sectors. And he's going to jump P1 with 130.507. So McLaren's just went 1-2. Zhou and Bottas have improved their times. They're in the 131s right now. Magnussen is in the 131s. Sargent is a 132. Gasly improves to a 132.199. Alonso on a flying lap. Got 15 minutes to go in this session. Hulkenberg jumps to P11 with a 131 as well. Just 1/10 behind. Yeah, 1/10 behind is Magnussen. What's happening? There are teams that are out on track. Like Max is not on track right now. Perez is not on track. Piastri just went back into the pits. Well, we should assume that Norris is coming back into the pits as well. There is some track evolution, but I wouldn't. Oh, was there rain overnight? That explains a lot. So there was rain overnight. Okay, Jim Bob says that there was rain overnight, so there's track evolution going on. So that's something to be aware about going into quali. Alonso just going to jump to P4, 131.549. I need to step away. I'll be right back, and then we'll cover the last few minutes of this session. So hold on a sec. Okay, thank you for that moment right there. Doesn't look like anyone has done any big changes on the board since the last few minutes. We got 13 minutes to go with this session. So right now, Norris is on track. Zoe is on out lap. Bottas is on track. The Mercedes are on out laps. Haas's are out. Sargent has come back into the pits. Albon is out. Ocon is out, and Stroll is out right now. Right now, Stroll has completed 13 laps. And how many are on? It's like 3 on. There we go. There we go. I can read it now. Did Lewis have an engine change? That's a good question. Let me look up the FII document spot. Let's see. Yeah, so far. Where? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not finding anything in terms of uh, basically. Do you think Lawson contract? Yeah, no. Zarini, Lawson contract is going to be renewed. Basically, he's going to stay as the reserve driver for Red Bull and AlphaTauri. We got Matt coming out onto track right now. Gasly, Tsunoda, Lawson also coming out on track. Perez is still in the pits though. So Max is calling out to his team to watch for the AlphaTauri. I'm trying to figure out which one that might have been. He was complaining about it going too slow. Yeah, this is one of the interesting things about Tsunoda, that he is partly sponsored by Honda. He's a Honda driver. He's a Red Bull driver, but he's also a Honda driver. So, no, that's not. Yeah, don't bring up Magazine, people. He's a sanctioned individual. There's no reason to talk about him or even to refer to him. Yeah, he's never coming back, and there's no reason for him to come back at this point. Russell just jumped to P4 with a 131, second behind Norris's time. Max, where is he right now? He's improved in his sector 1 times, has some subsectors that were the fastest. And he's done that already for sector 2, but he's just on a string of something just happened. He's lost some time in sector 2. Yeah, Yuki will probably stay with Red Bull through, unless something majorly happens. Yuki will stay with Red Bull through 2024. Then after, when it's 2026 becomes the good question, because Red Bull's going to Ford and Honda's going in a different direction. They're going with, I believe, Aston Martin. And Max has just taken the top spot with a 132.67. So fastest sector 2. So he lost some time in the middle section, but overall was faster. And then sector 3, another tenth faster than everyone else, faster than Norris. So 3/10 gained on Norris. No, 2.5 seconds. No, I would say no, not 3/10. 2.5, a quarter second gained on Norris on that lap time. Big mistake, Honda. Well, I mean, the issue with Honda is that they ultimately, like, they were out, they were in, they were out, they were in, they were out, and it went back and forth. Ultimately, that it had to go, like, basically Red Bull, when Honda said they were out, Red Bull bought all these assets from Honda so they could continue being in F1. And then after they had done that, Honda's like, well, we really want to be back in. So it's one of those. This is kind of Honda's fault for where they're at. Looking right now across the board, I don't see anyone doing a flying lap right now. Stroll went to 17, Lawson improved to 19, and then again Max improved to P1 with a 132.67. Those are the only ones that are on the board. Right now, Sargent has a 10th over Albon right now. Lawson is a 10th over Tsunoda, but we're talking 15, 16, and 19 and 20. These are not necessarily great times. Is Tsunoda moving to Aston Martin with Honda? We don't know. That would be a 2026 call. So Joe's asking about Tsunoda and Aston Martin. That would be, if that were to happen, that would have happened for the 2026 season. Honda would be like, no, like telling, and I have to check when Yuki's contract is up. But that basically ultimately, that's one of those down the, what could be happening down the line a few years from now. Following along with Leclerc and Sainz right now, they are doing flying laps. They've improved, but not necessarily. They've improved, but not necessarily. They're not getting fastest sectors. Sainz just jumped to P4 with 131.137. Leclerc is next. Perez is on a flying lap as well. So we're going to have Leclerc finish in a few seconds, and then it's going to be Perez. Sainz goes to P5, 131.137, so 10th and 1.15 slower than his teammate. Checo has a sector, had one sector. He improves at his time so it's a 141.08. So he's about 0.2 off, a tenth and a half maybe. No, 0.2 off from Max's fastest time in sector 2. Overall, he's gone 0.553 slower than Max, and he's going to slot in P4 ultimately with a 131.004 time. We are under 5 minutes left to go in this session. Unfortunately, it looks like we have 5 minutes to go. We'll see what happens, but it looks like my counter is getting reset to 0. Yeah, I mean, Yuki was asked about whether he's like where his loyalties lie. He says he's both loyal to Honda and to Red Bull. So Magnussen, which one of the AlphaTauris got in the way of Magnussen and shown his So they're showing track dominance between Max and Norris, and Max does from turn 1 through turn 15, and then 11, 12 to 13 is his dominance, and then Max basically once he gets around 13, he's pretty much flying at that point. Tsunoda just jumped up to P14 with a 131.951. Looking through some right now. Again, not a lot of action at the moment. Again, we should see in the next minute if people are going to come out for what you will see in the next minute or so. Basically, everyone coming out on track so that they're on track so they can do a practice start. We've got Lawson doing a flying lap, and he's improved in his. He's a second off though in sector 1. In sector 2, he is coming to the line. Sector 2. And he's 1.4 off max, and ultimately he's going to slot in P17 with a 132.048. Ooh, some bounces. He's hitting those curbs pretty hard. So 2 minutes left to go in this session. So there's some of the people are lining up on the. So Max is lined up at the pit lane. So they're doing pit lane exits, starts from the pit lane. So that's Max coming out. Checo's next. So they're doing some pit lane starts as they basically set up to go around for a final lap and then doing a practice start. So like all these, Max, Norris, Oscar, Sainz, Hamilton are all on out laps right now. Don't expect them to be pushing anything. They're going around so they can be on track to do a practice start. Yeah, Bottas is now coming out. Who else is next? Sargent is now on out lap. So this is essentially, basically, they're just coming out on track. We've got less than a minute to go in this session. It's like Joe is the next one to do a practice start. The other Aston Martin is going out. So they're doing practice starts from pit lane, and they're going around, and then they're going to go around again and do basically practice starts. So Albon, Stroll, Hulkenberg. The only two who are not out at the moment are Russell and Magnussen. So yeah, we're coming to the end. There's again about 23 seconds left in this session now. Seconds, not minutes. Once again, I want to thank for over 3,000 you who have been watching right now. We have almost 400 likes. Thank you so much. I want to, yeah, the session has ended right now, and everyone, I think, except for Russell, has come out onto track. So everyone but Russell is doing a practice start on track. Again, this has been the Racing Statistics YouTube channel, and this has been our live timing and commentary for the Japanese Grand Prix Free Practice 3 Watchalong. Yeah, we're almost to 103,000 subs. Okay, we'll probably break that probably during quali. So thank you for those who have subscribed. So basically in about 2 hours, we will be back with the stream for quali. I will be back 2 hours and 15 minutes, basically about 15 minutes before. So from now, quali is going to start 2 hours and 50 minutes, not 50 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes from now, excuse me. So come back, do what you need to do, get a nap, come back, get food, get caffeine. A lot of you are going to need caffeine. I will be back. So again, Ryan is out this weekend because of just the time zone issue. I just happen to be in Central USA, and it's a great time for me to commentate, as opposed to Ryan. Yeah, I don't blame him. He does a lot. He does most of the races, most of the quali. I don't blame him for wanting to have a weekend off. To be quite honest. And this is if there were one to do, this would be the one to do it at. So I will see you all in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Quali will start in 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we will have a good time. Also, race statistics, reset the counter. We didn't get a red flag. My powers of red flags and chaos are waning for some reason. Yeah, Dave, it's 11:30 on the East Coast. I'm in Central, so it's 10:30 right now. Pacific, it's actually 8:30. So great time for us in the United States. All right. I'm going to take off right now. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you in about 2 hours. Take care, everyone.